Kicking off another episode of Paleontology Bingo. This time we're going to be revisiting our good old friend Americano. Anyways, enjoy.
We all know Megalodon, that big friendly underwater fish. Okay, that's a lie. Megalodon was the biggest and most terrifying shark that ever lived.
Incredibly classic and incredibly common movie clips shown in the video. Of course, Americano can't escape this trope.
But he also had a whole lot of terrifying enemies that most of us don't even know about, so buckle up cause we're meeting the terrors on Megalodon's most hated list. From a stealthy, titan-sized prehistoric animal—
oh no, not the Titanoboa with the T-Rex and all that—
to a non-dinosaur threat. Let's meet the 15 biggest Megalodon enemies that ever existed.
Why do I suddenly feel nostalgic? Is it because I reviewed Americano? I first reviewed Americano like almost 2 years ago.
Number 15. Titanoboa.
Of course, starts off with Titanoboa. Anyways, we're going to be summarizing the whole thing. So it all starts off with an introduction, okay?
The Titanoboa was only around half the size of the Megalodon.
Oh. Okay then. So the Titanoboa was apparently half the size of the Megalodon when in reality its size is just a fraction of the Megalodon, and therefore this statement is ridiculous. I kind of regret just trying to skip the whole thing at first. So now for the rest of the statements, the guy said Titanoboa was the Batman to Megalodon Superman for whatever reason. The guy said Megalodon preferred just storming in and chew up its prey. But, like, the Megalodon, like any other predator, would have ambushed its prey instead. The dude said Titanoboa could camouflage, yes, on land, but on water it could not, so I don't know what comparison this guy is trying to make here. At least the video gets straight to the point. This segment, at least, so I'll give it that.
Number 14. Mosasaurus.
At this point, I should also just summarize the Mosasaurus, because, you know, this is just Jurassic Park / Jurassic World stuff. So, first off, I could give Americano some credit. This guy at least said the Mosasaurus was not a dinosaur, which is a correct statement. However, this is where problems begin to start. Cretaceous is supposed to be a period, not an era. The guy said the Cretaceous era, which is not correct because Cretaceous is supposed to be a period. The guy also just talked about Mosasaurus discovery history, saying Native Americans had images. From what I understand, at least, when in reality, images did not exist until 1825, before, actually, after the Mosasaurus was discovered. The dude also used a bunch of Jurassic World footage and other movie clips as shown here, and the guy also said, of all animals in the days of the Megalodon, Mosasaurus was one of the most formidable, implying that the Mosasaurus coexisted with the Megalodon. However, the Mosasaurus went extinct before the Megalodon began existing. So the statement is another ridiculous statement.
Number 13. Leviathan.
This time, we're not going to skip, alright? Because the Leviathan is less mentioned than something like a Mosasaurus or a Titanoboa.
It may seem kind of weird to suggest that a prehistoric whale was a notable enemy of one of the world's largest sharks, but the Leviathan, also known as the Leviathan melvillei, was not like the whales we know today. If men had been around at that time, this would have been a man-eating whale, and that would have made for a very different Moby Dick. While nobody knows for sure, paleontologists have estimated that the Leviathan would have grown to up to 50 feet in length and weighed around 10,000 pounds.
50 feet is an acceptable estimate. However, 10,000 pounds, on the other hand, translates to around 4.5 tons, which is completely and utterly ridiculous for something as stocky as a Leviathan, which, if it were 5 tons, like 4.5 tons, it's just going to be just a skeleton. Although this picture is outdated because it still shows Megalodon having the Carcarocles genus, This should give you an idea on how big the Leviathan actually was. 10,000 pounds, aka around 4.5 tons, is just incredibly stupid. Unfortunately, again, for the rest of the segment, the guy did not mention how the Leviathan could beat the Megalodon, making this a fact-yapping section. Even though the Leviathan does have a chance of beating the Megalodon, unlike stuff like Titanoboa and Mosasaurus that were mentioned prior, they're just too small to deal with the Megalodon.
Number 12. Prehistoric Orcas.
Are you talking about the Orcanus citoniensis? Because at least this thing also coexisted with the Megalodon, perhaps? But like Wikipedia shows, the guy lived 3.5 to 2.5 million years ago. As you can see over here, 3.5 to 2.5 million years ago, as opposed to 23 to 3.6 million years ago, 100,000 years apart. However, would this be more likely of an error? Because like Wikipedia just contradicts itself sometimes.
For decades, the big question about the Megalodon has been a simple one. Why did it vanish? Scientists have since concluded that the animal died out simply because of competition and a lack of food. One of the major causes of that, prehistoric ancestors of our modern-day killer whales, or orcas. Back in its heyday, the Meg had pretty much free reign over the oceans to chow down anything it wanted.
Ecology is incredibly complicated, so don't expect the Megalodon to just thrive because it could just chow down on anything it wanted. It also has to have a suitable habitat, a suitable environment in order to reproduce greatly.
But during the late Miocene era, the waters began seeing the arrival of all new species, notably baleen whales and orcas. Since the Meg relied on slow-moving whales for food, these new species were a total nightmare. These whales moved fast, and thanks to the orca's adaptable genetics, lived in conditions which the Megalodon could not survive. I guess what I'm saying is that, as with everything and everyone in history, somebody is always better equipped to deal with changing times.
How both ecology and evolution works. If you can't survive in an environment, you're going to die off, and you're going to be driven to extinction. Not really extinction, but like, you're not going to be the mainstream anymore.
And that somebody was not the Meg, but the orca. As a result of the orca's speed and ability to survive in many conditions, the Meg found itself lacking in food. Often it would have to resort to cannibalism just to get a meal. The orca, meanwhile, thrived in just about all areas of the ocean, surviving on much smaller and more sustainable prey than the Meg. So I guess there's a happy ending, unless you were a young Megalodon.
I don't like this treatment of the Megalodon. It's basically implying that the Megalodon is an abomination of a creature that deserves to go extinct. I don't really like it because, you know, it's just another incredibly mainstream way of treating the Megalodon.
Number 11. Tylosaurus. Back in the late Cretaceous period, the Megalodon was far from the only terrifying marine beast lurking in our planet's oceans.
You just said Megalodon lurked in the Cretaceous. Well done, buddy. Super nice job.
The Tylosaurus is now considered to be one of the most well-adapted and therefore most terrifying sea creatures to have existed during this time. The Megalodon would have hated it. Of all the mosaurs in the ocean, the Tylosaurus was easily one of the largest and most vicious. While the Megalodon generally would just find and gulp down an animal, the Tylosaurus had a much more aggressive and violent method to scoring itself some chum.
There is currently no evidence of Tylosaurus being quote-unquote more aggressive than the Megalodon based on the Tylosaurus behaviors. It is more likely that a Tylosaurus acted similar to the Megalodon, in which just being a regular old predator.
When it found a tasty-looking treat, this impressively sized beast would ram the animal with its mighty head.
Given the Megalodon's robustness and the Megalodon being able to withstand a bunch of damage, I doubt the Tylosaurus ramming the Megalodon would be able to affect the Megalodon that much. This other part of the segment is just another Megalodon and Tylosaurus lived in the same area claim for no reason other than getting views.
Number 10. Macroraptorial sperm whales.
Other than Leviathan, no other Macroraptorial sperm whale could beat the Megalodon. Although I'm guessing that these guys are going to mention that the sperm whales are going to outcompete the Megalodon to extinction of some sort, like other crazy paleontology videos like this. Oh, never mind. This whole segment of the video is just fact-spitting. Nothing special. At least they coexisted with the Megalodon. That's pretty much it.
Number 9. Liopleurodon.
Oh, just watch it being estimated to have 25 meters in length.
Believe it or not,
But then this guy just suddenly showed what looks to be an ichthyosaur.
some people insist that the Megalodon is not actually the most powerful aquatic predator in history.
The problem is, the Megalodon is. Like, I'm not trying to fan over the Megalodon, but it is.
That honor apparently goes to the Liopleurodon, an 82-foot-long beast.
Wow, holy crud, I just jinxed it so hard. Remember when I said that, I don't know, the guy was going to say the 25-meter Liopleurodon estimate? Well, the guy actually said the 25-meter Liopleurodon estimate. Why do I gotta jinx it so hard when it comes to all these crazy paleontology channels? Americano. I did not expect Americano to swoop down to this level of bad.
That was notorious for its stealthy approach to finding food. But why listen to experts when we can just explore this incredible animal for ourselves?
Because if you're not an expert, you're going to get things wrong. I also get things wrong because I'm not an expert. But please, don't try to blatantly do it. If you can't do it, don't do it!
The Liopleurodon was arguably one of the best marine hunters in history.
The 25-meter Liopleurodon has become a meme at this point. I don't know why this guy is using the 25-meter Liopleurodon unironically.
Known for cruising silently through shallow waters in the late Jurassic era.
Is called an epoch and not an era. Now, not to be confused with period. Jurassic period. Late Jurassic epoch. So, the rest of the segment is the guy doubling down on a 25-meter Liopleurodon for literally no reason at all. Why? Nothing. The guy also claimed that the 25-meter Liopleurodon will be the largest animal to live on Earth if it is around today. This is not true, as judging by the 25-meter Liopleurodon's body structure, it would still be smaller than the blue whale as it looks much more sleek and less robustly built. Therefore, it would deduct from its mass, making it smaller. It might not even reach 100 tons, judging by its body structure.
Number 8. Basking Shark. Many people probably don't know, but there are some prehistoric animals still with us.
There is almost no clear definition or commentary on what this statement is supposed to be about. I can't even give comments because, I'm just perplexed.
One of them, the basking shark, is actually known to be the second largest fish in the ocean, second only to the whale shark. While it couldn't beat the meg in a fight, it was probably still an unwanted foe. On average, the basking shark measures anywhere between 20 and 26 feet long.
Which is a little bit of an underestimate. The basking shark regularly reached 23 to 28 feet long, with some individuals reaching 30 to 36 feet long. So this section is yet again a bunch of yapping. At least the dude got straight to the point again.
Number 7. Great white shark.
Did another one of these out-eating megalodon to extinction segments. Let me summarize. So literally this whole part is just spitting facts. And I predicted the out-competing statement correctly. What a surprise.
Number 6. Thalassemodon.
I feel like Thalassemodon is just incredibly over-mentioned. Unlike the Elasmosaurus. Anyways, let's just summarize it yet again. Okay, so yet again, the guy correctly stated that the Thalassemodon was a marine reptile and not a dinosaur. The guy said Thalassemodon lived in the Mesozoic era, which is technically correct, but the range is just way too broad, as Thalassemodon only lived at the beginning of the late Cretaceous epoch. The guy also said that the Thalassemodon is supposedly as close to a Loch Ness Monster as prehistoric creatures get. Okay then. But then the guy just threw a curveball, and also implied the Thalassemodon existed during the Megalodon era, contradicting his entire statement of the Thalassemodon living in the Mesozoic era. And, of course, favorable treatment against Megalodon, just regarding Megalodon as some sort of incredible monster, despite not calling Megalodon a monster. You know, Megalodon is supposedly an abomination, according to this guy.
Number 5. Otus Shark.
Not mentioning the fact that the Megalodon is a part of the genus Otus.
In case you don't speak Greek, Otus quite literally means ear-shaped tooth. So there's a little fact for ya, and actually that's pretty accurate. The Otus shark is an extinct species of mackerel shark that does, in fact, have some pretty uniquely shaped teeth.
Otus is an extinct cosmopolitan genus of mackerel shark, which includes the Megalodon and stuff like Otus obliquus.
It was also one of the top predators of its era. The Otus shark lived all the way back in the Pliocene and Eocene eras, around 60 to 45 million years ago.
I'm honestly not sure how to comment on this, given that Megalodon is technically an Otus, and I feel like the guy is just talking about the type species Otus obliquus.
And it was a force to be reckoned with. Scientists believe that the species preyed upon everything from marine mammals to large bony fish and even other sharks.
Because as an apex predator, you're going to have to eat a bunch of different kinds of animals just to survive.
For these sharks, it wasn't about what you eat, but just that you ate constantly. Because these sharks were such notorious and agile predators, it's believed that they likely managed to poach or otherwise steal food from larger or more prolific predators, like the Megalodon.
Megalodon was one of the more recent Otus species, so I don't know what you're trying to get us over here.
The Otus shark may be a kind of quirky predator thanks to its uniquely shaped teeth, but we have to remember that creatures like this were among the most dangerous of their time.
Obviously, it's going to be dangerous given that it's a predator, but prey can also be dangerous if they have to be.
So be careful if you happen to go back in time and find yourself underwater in the Pliocene or Eocene eras, although if you've somehow managed to get yourself into that situation, you probably weren't being careful in the first place. Number 4. Cetotherium.
If I count properly, this is probably like the second, third, fourth, or fifth time that the Cetotherium was mentioned, so I can't really count that as overmention, and therefore let's try and summarize it as well. Yeah, I watched the whole segment. It's just yet another fact-spitting stuff, talking about Cetotherium being prey to the Megalodon, which is technically correct.
Number 3. Basilosaurus.
One thing common about a bunch of these creatures is that they did not coexist with the Megalodon, so I'm not sure why this guy is plucking them into a list that is supposedly biggest enemies of the Megalodon.
Yes, guys, it's true. Dinosaurs love basil. They go absolutely insane for it. Maybe that's not true, but I'm not a paleontologist, so I'm going to commit to it and just move forward as if that was 100% true.
Basilosaurus is supposed to be a whale ancestor and not a dinosaur. I'm not sure what you're trying to convey here.
I mean, even if the Basilosaurus hates basil, it's a great starting point. The Basilosaurus was actually one of the first prehistoric whales to be identified, but its history is so much more intriguing. Before the Megalodon came into the scene, the Basilosaurus whale was one of, if not the largest, predator of the Paleogene era.
Paleogene is a period and not an epoch. Should I just summarize it yet again? Because, I feel like there's nothing going interesting for it. So the other statements include the guy saying the Megalodon arrived and the rest is history, implying the Basilosaurus went extinct when the Megalodon arrived. But in reality, the Basilosaurus went extinct 10 million years prior to the first Megalodon existing. But the dude also contradicted his own statement when he said Basilosaurus competed with the Megalodon for the same prey in the same waters, but they never encounter each other. What? I don't know what sort of logic this guy is using. Is he trying to pull everything out of it?
Number 2. Duncolosus.
Because the Duncolosus is mentioned way too much in every single one of these paleontology videos, we're going to be summarizing Duncolosus yet again. Okay, so there's a bunch of fact spitting at first, but
and it was a formidable predator with an almost 2-inch thick armor, the strongest bite of any animal, and an unimaginable length of around 50 feet.
The guy just decided to troll us all and claim the Duncolosus had the strongest bite of any animal that belonged to the Megalodon, by the way, and the Duncolosus had a length of 50 feet for whatever reason. This is another ridiculous estimate.
The Duncolosus was absolutely one of the top predators of its time, and unfortunately for other predators, it also was entirely unafraid to eat sharks. Bad news for the Megalodon, right?
I can still commend this guy for his dedication to try and get to the point of the video, trying to make the title not clickbait. But, like, I have no idea what is this guy trying to say anymore.
Only in terms of competition, the Duncolosus, while impressive in its own right, could never stand a chance against the Meg, but in terms of stealing the big guy's food, definitely bad news. The Duncolosus was easily one of the largest sharks on Earth.
You know, I'm kinda glad that I did not skip this segment that much, because the Duncolosus over here is victim to incredible amounts of ridiculous statements. I feel like, how many are there? Like 3, like 4 or something already? I have no idea. I didn't count.
And was notorious for its willingness to attack and eat pretty much anything just for a snack. Even if that meant killing one of its own, well, that's a sacrifice they were willing to make. Number 1. Kronosaurus.
Kronosaurus is mentioned less, but I'm still going to try to summarize it anyway. Like, as long as there aren't any ridiculous statements, this is very easy to summarize. And of course, this is yet another can out-eat the Megalodon statement that we've heard a bazillion times. What an anticlimactic ending to a video with a bunch of ridiculous statements. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Oh, we forgot the Paleontology bingo result. Yeah, I think we all know where this is going. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one.